should get rolling. And I'd like to thank everybody for coming to the Parks and Open Space Committee meeting of Thursday, January 7th, 2021. And the City of Parksville recognizes the people of the Coast Salish Nations and their traditional territory upon which we gather with gratitude. So welcome, good to see everybody, and hope everybody had a great time away, and look forward to a productive and busy 2021 in Parks and Open Spaces. So if I could have an approval of the agenda, please.
Sure, I'll put that through.
Thank you, sir. And up for discussion, what we do have is, as per the terms of reference, we need to set our 2021 meeting schedule for review and approval by the mayor. The proposed 2021 schedule is for us to meet starting February 4th, and then every second month on the first Thursday of that month. So April 1st, June 3rd, September 2nd, and November 4th. Is there any discussion on that?
There's no meeting in August because council doesn't meet in August.
And no meeting in August due to council not meeting in August.
Right. And just back up if you could, Guy, it just clicked out there. Every second month it is, and on the first, which day of every month, or what?
It's the default day, same as we have now, the first Thursday of the month.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure that's the same. So the first Thursday of every month, every 2 months.
Yeah, at 2 o'clock.
Thank you, sir, for that clarification.
Thank you. So if there's no further discussion on that, we will get that in the minutes and have that brought forward at the next council meeting for review and approval by the mayor.
Thank you.
The tomorrow is the cutoff for getting in stuff for the upcoming meeting on the 18th.
I think this is a standing item with councillors that present back at each meeting on what's occurred through the Parks and Open Space Committee. So I do believe that this will be on the agenda. So seeing no further comments or concerns or questions, I think that we were done for the day, and look forward to a robust meeting in February. We'll have some good items on the agenda, and look forward to some guidance from the committee on how we should go forward. All in favor of adjournment?
No. Sorry, I had my hand up there, Guy. For I had a question.
Sure, Councillor Brand.
Yes. And I also, I believe Councillor Fraz is clicking in and clicking out. I'm just going to, Adam, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just on my cell phone, so I don't think the service is the best right now. So I'm just trying to keep it to a minimum of for my yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's great. I was just confirming you were there. It was kind of clicking out and clicking out, so I just wanted to make sure that you hadn't disappeared on us here. Just if I could, Guy, I had just a couple questions regarding we wound up in December anyways with, I believe, the storm and sewer community park study. That was I think being completed type of thing. Is that all said and done? Is the report by the consultants in, and there's any conclusions or any recommendations that we should be looking at?
So I believe we're meeting with the consultant electronically next week, to have a presentation done by them and presented to engineering, upon which obviously Belinda, myself, and Warren and a few other parks folks will sit in on and hear what they have to say. So it's a large document, and we've sort of done the Coles Notes version on it, waiting to hear back from them, and then see where it goes from there, what the recommendations are and their respective timelines of what they think.
Okay, that's great. I just wanted to check on the status of that. So that's fantastic. If I have another question, if I can, making my notes here where I can see it here. Oh, okay. So we discussed previously in last fall, anyways, we talked about the community gardens and whether possibilities of expanding or status quo or having the community gardens appear as a delegation to council. And there was a couple of different options that were going on. And I know that I think, Warren, you might have been reaching out to them or whatever to see if what was there any feedback as to whether they feel that it's necessary to appear before council, or are they happy with status quo where they are? Are they looking for expansion, or I'm just wanting to know because of the Jensen Greenway property, needs some attention. So the community park people have to be community garden people have to be consulted on that. So any comments on that?
So we have been in touch with them. Warren and I have met with them on site. I've met actually out there a couple times and had some email correspondence. And the last correspondence that I had with them, talking to one of their new board members, was they wanted to, they're not really sure if they want to expand or not, I think is what we're getting. There is a waiting list. It doesn't seem to be a large list at this time. I don't know how much advertising they've done per se. We're waiting for them to get back to us after they have their next AGM, I believe. And then they'll let us know if they are looking to expand, if they think there could be some assistance from the city in some way, shape at that location. Oh, you're muted, Councillor O'Brien.
Actually, I just got a message on my laptop here. It says you're muted. Anyways, I never even noticed that before. I was probably looking for the button. Anyway, thank you for that. Yes, my question regarding the community gardens, of course, is observing as well. Anyways, that the gardens have taken whatever space they have, but they do have some space still within the fence. Anyways, down where they keep their pallets that they use for building their composters and stuff and so forth. They seem to be a little bit of space still available. So that's kind of where that was going. But the thing is that it's what concerns me is the piece of property from the end of their fence line on that would be on the east side of the property, and then type of thing, going to the west side of the property along the Jensen Greenway, going right up to Bagshaw. It's a clear cut. It's unattractive, and we can do something with it. It used to have a whole bunch of trees on it that were all out of control, I realize. But the thing is that I was just wondering your thoughts and so forth. If it's just something that the park staff can look at in your spare time to do some planting, some screenings, maybe some trees and so forth, to screening off the private property that is adjacent to that, as well as maybe some natural native plants or whatever planted in the foreground. I'm talking like totally low maintenance or no maintenance, just cleaning it up and actually, putting some plants and trees in there that don't require. I recognize that the irrigation won't be going in until the Bagshaw improvement is done, the street improvement. But the thing is that in the meantime, I was just wondering, is there something that we can do? Because I know Warren had explained that this is the time we're planting type of thing. This is when the trees go in the ground, when we have all sorts of nature's taking care of the irrigation for us. So just your comments on that. Is there any chance of doing something on that instead of waiting? I get calls from people because I walk there all the time. They say, it's really nice, but that's really ugly. And I said, I know it's coming. So
I think that's what sort of drove the original idea with the community gardens and being, and with everything that took place with COVID-19 hitting and the pandemic and people sort of defaulting back to this, we're going to start growing stuff at home, and people are, they weren't working, and people, were far more engaged in some of these, activities to keep busy and whatnot. And gardening was one of the big ones. And having that space looking the way it was sort of one of the thought processes that occurred with us and why we sort of reached out to the community garden in the first place. I'm sure there's something we can do if we, Warren and I can put our heads together and look and see if there's anything that we can repurpose that we have from other parks. As we garden and we grow, that's what we have to do. We have to thin and manage the herd, let's say. So maybe perhaps we can split some of that herd off and see if we've got something that we can do to beautify the area a bit. And One of the things we had thought about that Warren and I were discussing with, and we, internally before we presented to the community garden, was maybe some fruit trees of some nature would be, that people can gather fruit, and or we can, the community garden donates to the food bank, I believe it was, and maybe that's part of their donation, could be pears or apples or whatever we get off. So something along those lines might work for us as well. Clean the area up, tidy it up a bit, and try to keep it as low maintenance, obviously, as we can. Nothing's ever no maintenance, that's for sure. But try to keep it without creating ourselves more work than we're able to look after, right? If we're going to take it on, we want to make sure it's looking as good as possible. It's not really a park space or anything either. It's a dedicated road right away, I believe. And we have the expertise in that. So maybe with Belinda being here and being, the overarching umbrella of everything, we can put all our heads together and maybe come up with a collective plan that will tick some boxes for us, if that works.
Yeah, and thanks, Guy, for that. And that's exactly what I was thinking in those lines. So, a couple plants left over from here and there, type of thing, and just say, well, hey, like at the end of the day, the crew can just run by and just stuff them in the ground there. This time of year, they stand the best chance of survival. I understand. Yeah, it's just an idea, anyways, and it's just one of the questions that one of our citizens posted to me. And so, while we're on that subject, so here's just kind of the off the cuff matter of interest question. I was asked the other day, so parks and the parks staff and so forth, they do an incredible job, and they're blitzing everywhere, and I know they're cleaning all the gardens up and everything. But they said, what do they do in the winter time? They said, do they have a different maintenance schedule in the winter time, or are they all just sitting back at Public Works yard, playing cards, because, or maybe that new pool table, right? So it was a question, and I said, well, I'm sure they're very busy, but they weren't satisfied with that answer, so I'm going to put it right to you so that I can sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Well, years ago, there might have been a time where it was what we used to call a bit of a down season, or, a slower season. Obviously, it's not actively growing. Hence, we don't have our component of summer students to assist us, right, with increased service levels that come during the growing season. But to support that growing season, we got to do everything in the background. This is the time that we do a lot of maintenance that we can't get to during the growing season. We do our proactive tree maintenance, which thankfully from council, we're able to do a little bit more this year with the approval that we were given. So we're able to do a little more active management of our street trees and park trees. We do a lot of leaf litter and pickup. All the irrigation systems have to be attended to. It gives us an opportunity to do more cleaning. We do a lot of our work planning at this time. All of our annual plantings that go out that everybody loves to see, those are designed right now. All that is picked. All the cleanup that we do, perhaps Warren could even add a little bit in there, a little more. He's doing the day-to-day dispatching, and I'm just sort of going, what did I used to do in the wintertime here now? So if you would, Warren.
Yeah, sure. I think you actually touched on a lot of what we're doing. Trail maintenance is a big one in the winter, as well as drainage, because it's wet. We know where the problems are. And like I said, a lot of pruning, a lot of we're cutting the annuals and perennials back now down to the ground, getting ready for the reflush in the spring. Doing planning, and pretty quick we'll be moving on to going back and doing what are kind of typically considered the growing season. By mid-February, we'll be back on the highway weeding and getting ready for the growing season, and then moving into ball diamond renovations and things, getting the sports fields ready for spring play, hopefully, right? So lots of that kind of stuff is going on right now.
And one thing we tend to forget too is that our parks folks do support our snow and ice fight too, all during the off season, right? That's it's a kind of a hands-on deck. So they're also involved in that piece.
Yeah, and obviously, and even to expand on that, the storm cleanups that we've had, and even as Warren's saying, it's February and we're already starting to think about our new season, and and as we said, part of the Western Red Cedar problem, and and our climate change and everything that's taking place, our downtime isn't we don't have these freezing cold periods where everything's dormant and we're limited in what we can do. There's still actually quite a bit that we are doing out there, as Warren said, the trail maintenance, and So we have to actually pigeonhole our planning and all of our, in our work preparation into a smaller time frame now than what we used to be afforded the luxury of having, which is good, and we have to come up with more efficient and effective work programs and ideas, and it engages staff, and which is fantastic. By the way, they come up with all kinds of ideas and solutions, and as Warren said, the drainage, we're working on drainage up at Springwood, and lots of stuff taking place. Just because we don't see flowers and lawnmowers out there, we're working in the background. Believe you me, they're not sitting inside staying warm. As much as I'd like to see them sometimes, because it can be pretty nasty out there. But I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And and I appreciate as Belinda, jumping in about the snow removal and the ice and all and so forth. I appreciate that as well. That's a good point. And plus the tree maintenance you're doing. I think honestly, the inquiries I get are really from people that are looking for some optimistic forecast of get the parks people out there, because you guys are the ones, when we see you guys out there working and so forth, it means that maybe spring is coming, and we've got through COVID, we've survived. And I think everybody is really, really ready to put this pandemic behind us. And so by seeing the crews out there working, it's kind of like, oh my God, we got through it. And Parksville is going to look as beautiful as it ever is. And I think they just need that reassurance is actually what I think what I'm hearing out there. And everybody's a little impatient for spring to come, like we all are. And so the thing is that I think that's kind of where the questioning was coming from, because, I assured them that you weren't just sitting in the background. But,
No,
I do appreciate the comments, though. And I also have to mention too, I appreciate Fiona in your background there, wearing a mask and keeping us safe. Thanks a lot, Fiona. Thanks for thinking of us. Anyways, yeah, that's it for my questions right at this point. Believe it or not, I'm actually done. Hopefully Adam is still there. Councillor Fraz, anything further before we adjourn?
I'm still here, thanks, and appreciate your comments too, just about the Jensen Greenway Trail. I know we had talked a little bit about that before, and the ideas of orchards and that. Maybe a comment I'll just add on to as well is one thing I've noticed in that area is there's often a lot of dog poop bags that are just kind of tossed to the side of the trails there. And I recognize there's a garbage can on the McVicker side of the street, but nowhere else along those trails there. So one kind of thing I've seen, I think it was in Tofino where they had where they have dog bags available. They also had like dog poop disposal containers, and the primary difference is they were just very narrow, small openings so that people aren't going to be dumping garbage, so it doesn't become a general garbage can, but primarily just for dog poop bags. And maybe an idea like that might benefit trails around town where people just they don't want to carry the dog poop, and I get it. No one likes hauling around a bag full of poop. And so they just discreetly throw it to the side, but then that's just for someone else to clean up. And it might even make the situation worse, because now you have a bag that's going to not really, it's going to take a long time before it goes anywhere. So maybe if we're looking at the Jensen Greenway Trail, we can take the time to see if there's options like that for, dog poop disposal too.
That's a great comment, and that is always some of our concerns and as we've had this conversation in the past, it's a balance for us on what we're able to put out there in terms of assets or resources for folks, and then we still have to be able to make sure that we look after it correctly and have our own internal assets that we're able to look after all these resources, whether it's more garbage cans, more trails, more parks, or even just dog waste collection systems. So it's something we are working on in the background that will come forward again this year. But putting out a couple smaller systems such as that is definitely something we can look at. And thank you for pointing that little piece out. I might have to get out to Tofino and have a look, actually. So maybe road trips in.
Yeah, thanks for that. And I guess with that too, I'll just ask a question. I'm sure there's a good reason behind it too. With the garbage can place at the end of McVicker Street, what was the reason for it being there rather than more central into the trail where it might be accessed by more and more people. Like I didn't realize the Evergreen, there's an intersection that goes to Evergreen to behind Thrifties and so on. But the garbage can is just on the far end of the trail.
Please, Warren.
There was already a garbage can at the community garden, so it was just relocated to the end of the trail to make it more convenient for trail users and actually less of a target for people just dumping garbage into it. So we take into account the accessibility for the custodian and also the fact of, we have a lot of garbage cans out there already with one dedicated custodian. And so therefore adding in extra garbage cans is a big deal. So we try to look at maybe an underutilized can elsewhere in the city and look at removing that one in order to replace others. The Jensen Greenway unfortunately didn't come with a furniture budget, so it didn't get any benches or garbage cans or anything like that. So it's a big cost for us on our maintenance cycle to supply furniture for the length of that, but it also means the staffing issues have to be considered as well.
Great, thank you. And I kind of thought it might be some along the lines too, because I know if you let's say you put it at Corefield and Jensen area, then it just kind of becomes a more of a community garbage can rather than a trail user one. So I know there's always those kind of complications. We'd all like to have garbage cans kind of everywhere all over town, but it's a lot to clean them up and then just the amount that they get used to. So I can appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And if I could just comment on Councillor Frazz's suggestion there. I think it's a very valid suggestion and very, very well thought out, because we do have various neighborhoods that are trying to get garbage cans in their area, but they don't recognize that it comes with a huge cost of the labor, et cetera, to pick it up. So if there was a doggy doo-doo definitely designed drop-off area anyways at these areas, that they wouldn't have to be picked up as often and so forth, and it could solve a problem. I know it's just even from the request we had from the Seaway Drive beach access down here, they got a bench there and a doggy doo-doo bag, but there's no dispenser and there's no place to dispose of it. And so all along the people's properties all along the beach, you see all these nicely tied little bags of doggy doo-doo, as Adam has mentioned, doesn't decompose. So it's just kind of adding to the situation, and unfortunately it's what we have to deal with. So I think that's a really good idea. If Tofino has something that I definitely think, it's great.
Sorry, sir, if I just paint a little picture of what that item that I saw was. Essentially, they have the post that advertises that this is a dog bag area, and it reminds me of like a cigarette disposal type of thing, where it's very long and narrow with just a small opening, so it can maybe carry maybe put like 50-60 dog bags into there, but it's a narrow kind of a feature, and it's attached right to the same pole where you get the dog bags. So if you're getting a dog bag, you can also then drop off your bags, the dog crap, at the same spot there.
Got it. Yeah, I've seen them before. The dog waste, it's funny, the whole dog waste has become this huge issue, obviously for municipalities, regional districts, and parks specifically. And it's only gotten increased over time as, and even more so this year, a lot of people have turned to having pets again, being home and whatnot, we've noticed. And but it's over the last 5-10 years, I'm sure Warren can concur, how we've seen it exponentially increase and impact our operations as a park system. So we're absolutely looking for strategies that'll help us and be, provide good customer service and excellent experiences. Warren.
Just that as a note, with our current distribution of the dog bag, we spend, each PO we do is about $3,600, and we're probably doing 2 of those a year. So it's about $7,000 worth of dog bags that we're distributing, and at 2 to 3 cents a bag, it's a considerable amount of bags that we're putting out there. So certainly that's something maybe council may want to look at as to where those locations are, and maybe be more specific to public areas rather than some of these side areas that they may be at.
Would it be reasonable to ask where the locations are around town that we provide those dog bags? Like I know a few that I know of down by the beach, the community park and that, but I don't know where else around town they're distributed. Maybe if we could identify where they are, and then maybe we can also identify where there could be a benefit to having some. Appreciate that there is a big cost to that, and you know, they get used obviously in the community, which is a wonderful thing, and I hope they're being disposed of as best.
We could put that on the agenda for February if that works with everyone. Give us a chance to do a little bit of research and come forward with some stats, maybe some options, and go from there. Does that work?
I think that would be fine. I'm not in any kind of rush to, so February or the next one would be fine by me.
Great. Thank you very much. It's an excellent suggestion.
Yeah, as long as I just want to make sure Doug agrees to it though too, that it's not just, you know, my own ask there, but
I was waiting. I'm gonna thumbs up. Maybe you can't see that, but anyhow, yes, I think it's a great idea that we do a bit of an inventory. It's a good suggestion, and you painted the picture right here, Guy. Like, everybody has dogs. I think I am the only person on my street that doesn't have a dog, and my both my grown-up kids, they've just got dogs this last 6 months. It's like everybody has dogs now. So the thing is that it's become a huge issue, and so the thing is that, yeah, I guess it's going to be up to us to deal with it.
It has, and it is, and I don't know if you notice it. Have you ever seen on the news how they handle it in Metro Vancouver? They have a guy whose job it is to cut the top off those bags, empty the excrement out. The bags are disposed of into the stream, and that the actual excrement is put into the system as human waste. And that is the recommendation, actually. People should be taking their dog waste home and depositing of it in their own toilet. That's the proper way to do this, believe it or not. So
it's interesting. I hadn't ever considered that too, and maybe if we did have a dedicated collection of it, you know, we could also, you know, at least to some extent, dispose of it the way we.
Well, and it's a huge issue, right? You know, you see all of a sudden there's companies driving around now with poo be gone and dog be gone, and you know, they'll do your backyard for you and everything else, and properly dispose of it, because it's not meant to go into the landfill. So definitely it's something that is high on the radar, and it'll be perfect for this committee to look at and see if we can come up with some solutions that'll work best for our community.
I was just wondering how much of a wait list is to have that job in Vancouver of cutting the bags off and emptying the excrement.
I didn't even see it posted. So
personally, I think that maybe is something that could be put in the mayor's job description.
Whoa.
and I wonder if the mayor's listening right now. Good job, Ed. No worries. Anyways,
thank you very much.
Thanks.
Well, if there's no other further discussion, gentlemen, and no topics, I think that we're going to have a rousing year ahead of us, and put some good stuff down. So I'm looking forward to it. And if there's no more, I would like to call for adjournment.
So moved.
Me too. Happy to adjourn. Thank you.
Thanks very much, everyone, and we'll see you in next month.
Thanks all. Have a great couple of months here, or whenever we see each other, and stay safe out there.
All right, you as well. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
Okay.
Goodbye.